This is Crew Resource Management and Information Processing. Watch this video. Hello, welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. So Crew Resource Management and Information Processing. In a CRM session, you'll be discussing the human processing capabilities and limitations and an awareness of misperception traps. So in terms of information processing, you would regard this as how the brain responds to incoming information. There will be a general discussion on how information is delivered and also received. What are the senses, what are the stimuli, and what can affect that information process? So you would look at the senses of sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. Then you'd also consider and discuss other senses where applicable. So within the group, you discuss how the processing system works, what governs the input of information, how the brain processes that information, and what will be ultimately the response to that information. So processing information is a mental activity that involves making decisions and deploying skills. Now, sometimes processing information is an active process, and other times it's a passive process. It can be a conscious or unconscious process. Now, you may discuss system 1 and system 2, unconscious versus conscious processing. Unconscious processing is usually fast with little workload, and it doesn't really grab the attention. It's not attention grabbing. Whereas conscious processing involves higher workload, and it's a slower task. It's attention grabbing, it's thinking, it requires decision making and assessing. Now, response could be physical, it could be verbal. Also, a response could be further thinking, further consideration. It could evoke an emotional reaction, or the reaction can be a non-reaction. You can be actively or passively doing nothing after some information has been processed. So in terms of information processing, we would look at the pathway from stimuli to the senses, how the brain perceives that information. Then we would look at the attentive part of this process, the conscious processing, the working memory. Then we would look at unconscious processing, long-term memory, procedural memory. So between the attentive and the passive, the conscious and the unconscious, the system 1, the system 2, we would look at the pathway towards a response. And then we would discuss the post-response. And then you would consider any feedback and how that feeds back into the whole process. So in terms of information processing, you would look at where the system can break down, what can go wrong, input error, processing error, response error. We can look at physiological and psychological influences and effects. One of the questions that you'll deliberate over is how can we make the process better? So first of all, there needs to be an understanding of the process, and we can work towards getting better by improving training and evaluation. But also we can study and recognize error chains and accident stems. Now, as with any other CRM elements, information process is not an island, it's not a standalone system, and there are many other factors involved. In terms of aviation, in terms of performing motor skills or group skills, everything operates within a system. Instead of individuals and individual parts, we would consider everything to be connected and dependent upon each other. Information processing weaves its way throughout everything and leads on to vigilance and monitoring, situational awareness and decision making. As with any CRM session, be prepared to discuss all the elements involved. If you like what I do here, subscribe to the channel and keep on watching the videos, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.